Hey y'all, my name is Gabrielle Nielsen. I'm from H1 Go Root, and these are my 5 most influential works of art. The first I'll start with.
When looking up this picture, Google kicked me in the back and told me that it was actually entitled Out of the Silent Planet. My apologies.
Because it was the first book that I've ever read that I could not comprehend. I remember reading it in the 7th grade, and it was like a movie in my head with no plot. Like, I could read the words and try and visualize the scenery, but I could not get the plot, could not comprehend what he was saying. And it was influential to me just for that reason, because I couldn't understand it. I was just used to picking up things and being able to grasp it, but that book was not it. And it wasn't until later I actually understood what it meant. The second work of art would be a poem by my favorite poet, Rudy Francisco, called Complainers. And judging by the title, you would think that this poem would be him scorning complainers, saying, everybody complains too much, y'all need to suck it up, stop complaining. But I love this poem because it expresses tragedy and silence in a way that we don't think to remind ourselves of how blessed we are. I remember my favorite line out of this poem is, he says, "How blessed are we to have tragedy so small that it can fit on the tips of our tongues." Reminding us that people have trauma so big, so large, so influential that they couldn't even think to break the silence on it. Whereby us living our lives every day, some of our most common inconveniences are picking up the keys to crank up the car on a Monday mornings. And how blessed are we to still be able to maneuver and be functional past our hurt, past our pain. All right. The next work of art, it might seem elementary to some, but would be The Very Hungry Caterpillar. This book is influential to me because I just remember it being the very first book that I wanted to pick up and keep picking up. And it was simply because the pictures were pretty and it had a little pop out on every single page. But the moral of the story is the caterpillar, he went through these phases before it was time to him to go into his cocoon and become a butterfly. He went through these phases of consuming various things, and in the first half, none of the things were good for him. What he was supposed to be consuming, like sausage, cheese, cupcakes, cakes, pies, none of that. And after he ate all of that, he was going to people's houses eating those things. He had a tummy ache. And it wasn't until he started eating what was actually created for him to eat, which is leaves, he was able to grow his cocoon and turn into a butterfly. So later on down the line, of course, we can see the message now. Once you consume what you're actually meant to consume, you become who you're meant to be. Meaning, when you watch your eye gates, your ear gates, and you watch the company you keep, the videos you consume, the music you listen to, the food you literally put into your body, you become who you're meant to be spiritually, physically, and mentally. That mental fortitude who are. The next work of art would be Kintsugi. The Art of Kintsugi is a Japanese art form whereby they take broken vases and pottery and they repair it using precious metals like silver, platinum, and the most dazzling would be gold. But this art form, I don't have a specific piece of pottery or sculpture that I can say has benefited me or influenced me, but the art form in and of itself is beautiful to me, in that you take something that was meant to be discarded and you turn it into something beautiful that people are in awe of. The last book that is important to me and probably isn't surprising is the Bible, simply because it's the guidelines for how us as humans are meant to live through the lens of Christianity and our Creator. I use this as my guide, and the most important scripture to me in this book that I've come across is Matthew 11 verse 28 through 30, and it says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I find that scripture influential and most important to my spiritual walk, because it just reminds me that when I'm in the will of God, all I have to do is vibe it out, like with life. That's all I have to do. And that's like the theme through all of my works of art. Just vibe it out and you'll get there when you're doing what you're meant to do. When you're walking in the lane that you were created to walk in. But yeah, that's me and my favorite works of art.